Heights, we had another neighbor, Selma Joseph. We have memories of going to the park to see concerts, and we had picnics and wine and bread. It was a good time those days. And Selma's going to come up and say a few words. And I think she's going to roast you a little. Selma Joseph from Brooklyn Heights. Still gorgeous. Selma was my age when we lived in the Heights. We've switched places.
Right. Joe, you see before you an obese woman. And I want you to know it's all your fault. And I'm going to tell you why it's is. Because psychologically, I have been trying to make up for a dinner I never got.
The woman never forgets.
Do you remember the time that you invited me and a certain other person to dinner?
Yes.
And you said, come,
hey, this is it.
And you said, come early and come hungry.
Yes.
So we came early on a Sunday afternoon, and we came hungry. And we sat, and we chattered, and we talked about this and that, and we joked, and the hours went by.
This is a very embarrassing
And we got hungrier and hungrier, and pissed her and pissed her.
I haven't seen him since that
There
moment.
was snakes in the bathroom.
Who ate better?
But there was no food on the table.
This woman has a memory like a goddamn
It's
bear trap.
because of you that I'm this size. I've been trying to make up for that dinner I never forgot. I never got. Yeah.
This woman, you got it now. I mean, everything she has said is true.
Thank you very much.
It's true.
This jerk was ashamed to tell us that he didn't have the money to buy food.
No, you have to understand something. My mother was there.
And you didn't want to feed her, so we didn't get it?
No,
Peter, are you there?
it wasn't it. We were too poor.
No,
You didn't have the money to buy food.
My brother, are you here? Peter?
Yeah.
Stand up for a second. My mother was there. Is that enough to
She came
Is
later.
that enough to confuse anybody?
Your mother came later with some pastry, not much, but some.
The mic's not working.
Incidentally, Maddie said to kiss you and to tell you that the highlight of her life
There's a switch on there.
will always be the day that you let her watch a snake eat a mouse and then feel the lump on its back. She will never forget this as long as she lives.
I'm a hell of a guy.
Let me get this working. 1, 2, no.
No. Mic's not working.
Can we get the mic fixed?
I don't think Joel's on.
Holy shit, I'm a hell of a guy. Can
I
you
hear
hear
you,
me?
I hear you, I hear you.
I'll count off the extra.
Shout.
Cheating with your English card or something.
Make sure it's plugged in the right way.
I can find a hole. It's not working. It's not working. Was it?
All right.
From the Italian side of the family, Vinnie Bracco is legend. We're going back many years to Brooklyn. God, I love you, Vinnie. We've seen Vinnie over the years. Vinnie's been sick, he's recovered many times. And I give you...
You gotta listen what he's gotta say. He's gonna shoot you.
I give you Vinnie Bracco, Brooklyn.
I'm telling you.
Don't believe it.
Don't believe it. Well, number one, I want to say that I'll give you a geographic part of Avenue U. We have the west side, we have the east side. Obviously, they're from the east side. The whole rat crew here. And this rat bastard over here, he turned around and moved to Garrison Beach. Is where we turned around and where I come into the picture. When we were very young, some boys in Garrison came down and they a little bit of a hustle in the candy store they stayed in.
Right on.
And the West Side decided to go down and straighten it out.
Remember that?
Obviously, I was the one who went down and straightened it out. And I love those guys so much that I became part of their family and a friend of theirs. And I stayed on the West and the East Side. I know Joe for over 3 decades, going on to 4 decades. But there's a couple of things I want to bring up to Joe now that I'm going to do after, you know, his 50th birthday. He deserves to get it good. And he's going to get it good. You know, I come from a family of laborers. I'm very proud of them. And I was first introduced to academics through Joe and his friends. I'm very proud of that. And when I found out that Joe went to college, and you know, I know of NYU and I know of colleges like that, but the College of Animal Husbandry really screwed my mind up a little bit. You don't have to be an intellect to know that something is very wrong. So I go in a car from, remember, the streets of Avenue U to God's country in Long Island. No roads, no light, no nothing. To see my friend Joe. And I'm passing by and I'm seeing cows, I'm seeing chickens. I'm saying to myself, what are they? I don't want to, because there's girls there, I can tell you something. I finally saw Joe waiting for me in his dungarees. He thought it was Mount North or something. I don't know what the hell it was. He had on a striped shirt, dungarees, a pitchfork in his hand. I said, Jesus Christ Almighty, I'm crazy. I thought he went to college, he's in a home. I know he's in a home. So, this is the kicker. Joe gives me a big kiss. I'm so glad you came here. Because I love my animals. That's pretty good. So I said, okay. He brought me up to his room. I know the true meaning of loving animals. What would you do if you walked into a room that's supposed to be a college dorm and you see a sheep there embedded in 2 of his front shoes? Did that tell you something about Joe? What happened here was he met this wonderful Jeannie lady. Thank God for Jeannie. She brought some sense into his head. I am here now in behalf of the West Side of Avenue U. We are not nuts. They were nuts. We got caught for the trouble. They caused it. They go down to a neighborhood, start trouble. They don't know how to fight with the damn. They call us. We go down. We get the bad name. Right? You're the one that says, don't go out with that boy. That's Billy Brockton Avenue. I never heard him say, don't go out with Joe. What a nice boy going to college. To play with sheep. I went in the Army. I know about sheep now. And now, with all kidding aside, I feel very, very honored. And I had a great, not only a great time meeting a lot of people here, but meeting my old friends for 35 years. As, you know, and you don't see someone for 35 years, we all might lose some hair, you know, gain some weight, but you never lose your heart.
But we didn't tell you how we boxed the Brooklyn Bakery. We didn't tell you that.
If I say that, this is going to be both the 50th birthday and a divorce.
Took me all summer to hit him. One time I hit him. One time.
And that's because he said, look at the sheep.
Nobody was stopping. Huh? Nobody was stopping. That's right.
Years ago, Joel, when he left the Bronx Zoo, was left with no career. And he was a house husband for about a year or so. When Josh went into daycare, he cried for daddy, not mommy. Joel, enterprising as he is, started a TV show on Channel 20, which was then an NBC affiliate, and started a show called Journeys to the Mind. And Journeys to the Mind was an investigation into the occult, into the unknown. We're still living down that reputation. Two of the people that he's had on his show, which ran for about 6 years, the longest running show of its type, was Lita and Richard Rowe. Psychics, astrologers, very, what is the word for it? Very good, intuitive people. I'd like to bring Richard and Lita, and I have to say that over the years we became very, very good friends with their family. Lisa is here with her fiancé. Hi, Lisa. And I give you Richard and Lita Rowe.
I'm going to let Richard talk, but basically when I met Joel, when Richard first brought Joel home, I said, uh-oh, this is a guy I went to high school with. You know, we're all the class of 57 here. And 56. Sorry, Joel.
57 sounds better to me.
Okay, but I knew Joel Dobbin in high school. I was in high school. I'm not one of the boys, but I'm one of the girls. We had our 57 Chevy, you know. Anyway, I knew somebody just like Joel in high school, and I said, Richard, get this guy away from me. And Richard said, no, he's cool, he's cool. He's going to put us on TV. I said, oh, well, we'll see. Okay. Joel and I had a big argument one time in the dining room.
Yes, sir.
Yes, remember that? Okay, it took me back to my days in high school. We threw chairs at each other, but we resolved our conflicts. Joel and I love each other now. So this is my roast and my toast. I love Joel. I'm going to be 50 in October, and I'm telling my husband, this is a neat surprise idea. I'll organize it. We'll do it for myself. I'll just help you out. Here it goes.
The facts. Well, you know, I look around the room here today, and I almost didn't make it. I had to do a lot of things to get here. And I look here, and I see nothing but people that knew him in Brooklyn, and as a child, when he grew up. They go back 30, 40, even 50 years with him. But when I met Joel, it was in 1979, and he asked me to be a guest on the show, and I said I do predictions, I do charts, and I tell people about who they are and make predictions for the future. So I went on the show, and he said, listen, we don't want to set anything up. We're going to have a totally improv thing here. He says, I'm going to give you my birthday. He says, do some predictions about me. And I made some predictions, and Joel will go on and on about it. But I said in August 1968, it was a very, very monumental time in my life, and everything changed. And he went crazy, and he made a big deal, and he said, from then on, how did you know about my past like that? But since then, I got to tell you something. That was a half-an-hour show, and I didn't really get a chance to go into his past. So I went and talked to my friend Shirley. Not McLean, Shirley Leibowitz. But and I'm going to tell you about some of Joel's past lives. I remember one of the famous lives he had, even though it was famous on the smallest circuit, but in the 1950s he was Joey the Comic. And in the times I've talked to him, and he remembers his past life. Don't you, Joel?
Yes. Yes.
Joey the Comic.
Joey the Comic. Joey the Comic.
He was a friend of Lenny Bruce's and was very jealous. Gave Lenny all his material, but one day he got hooked up with a hooker and he just disappeared from the face of the earth, and we never knew what happened to him after that. Another time, there was a gang of mystic travelers, warriors, and he was a dungeon master. And there was Undyne, Margot, Aquila the thief, who is still missing to this day. He's been in exile, and Shigeru, and all the others, Margot the magic worker. And Joel will know who these people are, and in regression. And he's always in regression, let me tell you right now. And these people helped perform a lot of magic in his life. But the one I remember once is when we were on the way to meet Noah, because we heard that was there's going to be a flood. And Joel might remember this in regression. And during that flood, we were going to get somewhere. He had to move to be safe. But we didn't quite make it. We were cut off by the waters.
And Joel and I tried in this life to move someplace, and we got caught in a major flood in Naugatuck.
1982,
1982.
June 5th. I remember it well.
Who else was
This is your life.
there? This is your past life.
My life.
Then Joel, I'm going to tell you something. I didn't go far enough in your past because your past is not important. What's happening now is in your future. There's a wonderful future coming up for you. And I want to let you know that in the next couple of years, you're going to have a home and a family that you cannot believe. You're going to be on the road traveling with a beautiful future. And I love you dearly. Thank you.
You're ahead of yourself. I got it now.
I call to the podium the legacy that Joel and I together are leaving to this world. Keep in mind, he does love his father, but this is a roast.
Hi. You've all heard all these stories about my dad and all of his things that people admire him for, all of his great stories of his rebelness and stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you a different story. Sorry.
Closer to the mic, Josh.
This,
Into the tube, Josh.
because
Tell him, Bobby. Get him, Josh. You get him.
I was sort of, I didn't know what to say up here, having never really been to a roast or seen anything like that. So I asked my mother, what should I do? So she said, well, like, humiliate him. So I thought I could do that. And what better way to do that than a story about, this is one of the darkest chapters of his life. When you've heard a lot, you've heard a lot about his show Journeys to the Mind, and he was in the Connecticut area, sort of like a quasi-celebrity, People knew who he was, and when I was little,
Brother was a sick kid.
when I was about 3 or 4 years old, they took me to my favorite restaurant, the Ground Round, and the waitress,
Brother is so sick.
and the waitress came over to take our orders, and she looked up. It was like part of it. Anyway, so the waitress came over and she's taking our order. She looks up and she's like, "Oh my God, you're on TV. You're Joel Dobbin." And like he was all happy, and all of a sudden, wondering eyes turned to us in the restaurant, and she turned over this perfect setup line. I couldn't have asked for a perfect line. So she looks over and she goes, "Little boy, do you know who your father is?" Now let me explain something to you beforehand. I was into superheroes big time when I was little, and my father had convinced me that he, in fact, led a dual life. Not only was he mild-mannered TV personality Joel Dobbin, but the nefarious fart man. The Cape Vigilante. The Cape Vigilante
This is my kid. This is the kid I supported on it.
who struck
Fuck I am.
the Cape Vigilante who struck fear and into the hearts and olfactory systems of lawmakers everywhere. He told me of his, Batman has his batarangs and stuff. He told me of his gimmick gases, such as the wall fart that was like a force field, or the deadly asparagus fart that could kill a man from 1,000 yards. And I believed him, I was a kid.
My own kid.
I mean, he really had me convinced that he was this superhero that would go out and, expel gases at criminals. Dirty Harry had his go ahead, make my day. He had go ahead, pull my finger, you know? So anyway, we're at the restaurant. The waitress goes, "Do you know who your father is?" He's all proud. I survey the situation. I see all these people, like everybody's turning on us. They're looking at my father, they're squinting, they're seeing people are talking, "Hey, look at Joe down there," all this stuff. And I look around and I know this is my moment.
I hate this guy.
You know, I looked at my father, he was basking in the glory that is fame.
I hate this kid.
His ego swelled like this balloon. And when she asked me who I knew who it was, I said in a loud and clear voice, "Sure I do. He's Fartman."
He's not done yet, but these are my sons. And I love them. And so far, despite Josh, this is the happiest day of my life.
Anyway, wait.
When Mary takes a picture, we wait.
Oh, wow. Anyway, that was a long.
You got that much hair left?
That was a long time ago. It was far away. Things have changed. For instance, he's lost a whole lot of hair. Tries to cover it up now with mounds of hairspray, but like, you know, draping it over. But there's something that you don't know that I want to tell you. I can help. You see, I'm not only the hair club president, I'm also a client.
I hate this fucking kid.
All kidding aside, my father's a great guy and I love him very much.
Very good.
Uh-oh, I lost my agenda.
This is my advertisement for birth control.
Okay, you can find my marked up agenda in the pile here. Wait.
Are you such a leader? You believe this shit? This is what I live with, a leader. She's got an agenda.
That's all right, you always take it over anyway. Tammy, I'm sorry, but I didn't get you into the Brooklyn Heights years. But when Joel and I lived in Brooklyn Heights, my sister Tammy, who was about 16 years old at the time, came to visit. And she's gonna come tell us a little bit about it. Come on, Tam.
We lost the mic. Put it together again.
I'm so mild. I'm so quiet. I'm so shy. Me? Yeah. Come here, Michael.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Give me that microphone.
By the way, the establishment has informed us that we have to be out of here by 6 o'clock, so.
I might be done.
Okay.
You gotta hustle.
First, I never had a crush on Joel. Never.
Yes, you
never.
did.
Never.
Yes, you did.
I think the first time I remember Joel was when he embarrassed the hell out of me when I had worked so hard to get a date with this guy. And I get this guy to come pick me up at the house, and Joel's there. And, I mean, I really worked and worked to get this date. It was really rough. And Joel takes him. Come here. I need you. Bite on neck. And he says, you touch her, I'm gonna break your arm, and your legs, and your neck, and your car. And he shoves them away. My first date, I worked so hard. You're lucky. He wasn't really that afraid of you. Anyways.
Yeah, he was.
He was not. A little bit afraid. He just wouldn't come to the house anymore. But I remember one time, I decided I'm gonna go visit Jeannie in Brooklyn Heights. I was gonna be cool. I didn't break your necklace, did I? I'm sorry, I'll buy you another one. I'm going to New York. I get on the train, I go down to Grand Central Station, they pick me up, I'm cool. I was about 15, 16, I don't know. And I'm gonna have this real good time. So we go, they pick me up, we go back to the apartment, we buy a newspaper, we're planning the night. I wanna go out and be a wicked city woman. Like Lucy. Like Lucy. Well, you don't have enough hair to do it. Does everybody remember I Love Lucy when Tennessee Tierney Ford was on, the Wicked City Woman, and she vamped him like this? I was gonna do that. So, Jeannie donated the required basic black dress, the high heels, the license. I practiced writing her name for about an hour. What's your name? Jeannie Costco. How old are you? Well, I was born December 3rd, 19, whatever it was.
Oh, we won't say.
47. Anyway, am I right? I'm right. Okay. So, Jeannie's gonna stay home. Joel and I are going out in town. We were gonna go to this nightclub. I was gonna mingle with the jet set. I was gonna be cool. We ended up at Radio City Music Hall because I chickened out. Joel is totally embarrassed. Walking through like this, there's no New Yorkers in Radio City Music Hall. I am the only New York person in Radio City Music Hall. People from New York do not go to Radio City Music Hall.
How true.
Well, too bad. We had one there who shaded his face. He sat down in his seat, slumped down. He's muttering all night long, I'm gonna get you for this. I'm gonna get you back for this. I'm gonna get you. We watched the movie, whatever it was, I don't remember.
It was the Love Bug.
It was good. It was good. I liked it.
Bug. I saw
I was out on the town. I had black eyeliner on. About 3 inches each lid. We're having a good time. I'm having a great time. We weren't going to tell Jeannie we went to Radio City Music Hall. Well, the movie gets over. It was the Love Bug, wasn't it? It was the Love Bug. We come out. And I said, well, you know, this was nice. We went out. We had a good time.
Waiting.
We're walking down. Does everybody know the main staircase in the Radio City Music Hall? How it curves down so nicely. And there's people all around, you know, hanging off, you know, the edges, around the railings, down in the lobby buying souvenirs. And Joel got his revenge from the top of the stairs to the bottom of the stairs. He fell down the stairs at Radio City Music Hall. I'm embarrassed. He's laughing. I'm thinking he's dead. He's not dead. He almost was dead after he got to the bottom, after I got to the bottom. But he did not die. Not yet. He will. Someday I'll get him for that. And then there was another time when my girlfriend and I were going to move to New York. We were going to live in New York. We were going to be, I think, receptionists because we didn't have any talent for anything else. We figured we could answer the phone, you know, just like anybody else could. So we were going to go down. We went down and we spent a weekend with Jeannie and Joel. One morning at breakfast, we heard gunshots. This was in Brooklyn. It was 2 of us down to do the laundry. We were afraid to go by ourselves. This is down the basement of the building. And I think what really turned my girlfriend Cookie off was she went to get a book out of the bookcase and a snake was there. And the ferrets, and the cats, and the extremely large, you know those little green turtles? The extremely large turtle devouring the goldfish. So we really racked up our plan, and we just forgot about moving to New York. since we couldn't go anywhere by ourselves, they made us swear to stay in the house till they came home. But it was fun. I do have to get you back for that, though. You aren't embarrassed enough tonight. No, you're not. Never.
Yes, I am. I'm really embarrassed.
You laughed all the way down the stairs.
I was the first New Yorker ever to go to the
I was going to buy the tickets today.
to the Radio City Music Hall.
But you missed
Everybody there had crew cuts and wire rim glasses. Women too.
But you loved it.
My sister Tanny. Who has a little 6.5-month-old baby.
Who loves me best?
Who loves Uncle Joel best. I'd like to call to the podium Dr. Kenneth Wald. Dr. Kenneth Wald, we know him as Kenny. And he knows Joel as Uncle.
The head doctor?
I'm going to take it easy on my uncle here. He's been a wonderful uncle, not only because my mother's been able to make him schlep all the way from Connecticut for every graduation, every party, every holiday. He's made the 3-hour drive dozens and dozens of times, but also he played a very important role. Growing up, like most kids, we have our difficult times where we misbehave, we get into trouble, and I always had my uncle, who was a foil for me, who always looked worse. No matter what I ever did, they always said, Uncle Joel did much worse. In fact, even when I was growing up, I thought my uncle was just the most wonderful guy. And I'd spend time with my grandmother, I'd be at her house, and I'd do something awful. And she'd say, another Joel. And I always thought it was great. For a long time, as bad as I was compared to this legend. So, I was always so pleased with that. Anyway, we've always been so proud of him. He's won in Jeopardy. He's won a car.
Yay!
I think even to this day, Alec Trebek is comparing some of the better contestants to Joel Dobbin. He also says another Joel Dobbin. I've lived in the Bronx for about 4 years, and I've talked to a lot of the people there, and just to add what was already said, they are still talking about his work at the Bronx Zoo favorably. They say that there's the golden age of the Bronx Zoo. If I drop his name in the Bronx to this day, it will get you places. They remember him.
That's my nephew, the doctor. Not a dentist, this is a doctor.
His brother, the lawyer, couldn't make it. He had a previous engagement.
His brother, the lawyer. This is my nephew, the doctor.
Okay. When times changed a lot with Joel, and he went to work in, I don't know, 1982, somewhere around there at the Connecticut Air National Guard. When I met my husband, I was really thrilled that I would never have to worry about my husband going off to war, wearing a uniform, getting his hair cut short. Well, now he's part of the Connecticut Air National Guard. And luckily, through political actions, he's not going to Panama. I'd like to call to the podium Nick Sevo. And Nick is, well, Nick is a pilot. Nick is cool. To say a few words, thank you.
Nick is almost 50 years old. 4 days away. Nick is old.
Hey, Joe, you think the guy almost takes my chimney off? No.
Yes.
Wrong guy. That's the good guy, right? The guy back there.
The notice has said that I should write something down and then practice it and make sure I had it all down pat before I come up here so I wouldn't make a fool out of myself. I think my wife said that. So I tried to write down everybody's name at the head table so I could remember it, and I got everybody right. Except for the Peruvian chicken farmer sitting to my right. And that's a story we haven't got time to tell. I'm not sure that I have time to go through the repertoire that I had assembled for this evening, but I would like to talk about a couple of things about Joel that I'm aware of and a lot of other people are not. There was a script for this whole thing, but we've thrown that out, and we'll just have to try to ad-lib from this point on. Joel and I travel a lot together, and we have traveled all over the country, and we have had a few fun times in the places that we've gone. One of the places that we travel to quite often is Savannah. We have been known to get drunk and disorderly in towns like Savannah. We've done a few other things, but we have done a lot of traveling, and I've learned an awful lot about Joel that doesn't seem to coincide with all the information that I've collected since I've been here today. One of the things is about his intellect. I've been told just how intellectual he really is, but when we are traveling, we have a tendency to find places to eat, places to drink, and so on and so forth. And I have been told all these things about Joel's intellect, but I tried to teach him a few things about how he should handle himself when he's in some of these places. One of the things I tried to teach him was about wine. One of our earlier experiences with Joel that had to do with wine was when we were having dinner with a group of people sitting around the table, and I asked the people at the table whether or not anyone would like to or would enjoy wine with their meal. And everybody said, yes, we would like to have wine. So I carried that a little bit further, and I stated, is there anybody here that has a preference in the wine that they drink? And Joel's bobbing up and down at the other end of the table, I do, I do, I do. So I went to hand him the wine list so that he could make his choice. And he says, I don't need that. I says, do you already know what you would like to have for wine? You have a very personal preference? And he says, yes, red.
89 was a good year.
The other thing that we would do when we would travel is try to locate and find the best Italian restaurant that we could come on somewhere in the city we might have to be in.
I dare you to tell him this story.
I'm going to tell him this story.
I dare you.
And the way we would describe a good Italian restaurant would be how many field dishes there are on the menu, whether or not the Sambuca was Romano, and whether or not the pasta had enough garlic in it. Well, he got to Savannah before I did, and I showed up after a few days, and he says, I think I have found the Italian restaurant. I says, good. Why do you think it's a good one, Joel? Well, the veal and the Sambuca and the pasta. And he says, except I think it has a problem. I says, what's that? He says, well, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, but I think that the bartender might be a little gay. And I says, so I don't think that's really a big problem. He said, well, I'm not really sure it's true anyway, but I says, okay, Joel, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go to the restaurant, we'll get a bottle of wine, and we'll open it ourselves so we won't have to worry about anything, and maybe try the Sambuca. And we walk into this Piccolio's Italian restaurant on the back streets of Savannah. And we walked into the place, and I says, Joel, what was the comment you made about whether or not you thought the bartender might be a little queer? And he says, well, I wasn't really sure. I says, is that the one behind the bar just wearing a pair of pink jockey shorts? And what gave it away? We found out after having our coffee that the bartender was the straightest guy in the whole place. From that point on, we no longer let Joel pick the Italian restaurants.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But the cheesecake was gorgeous.
The food wasn't bad either. Through the years, I've learned an awful lot about Joel. Joel happens to be somewhat of an oasis for me at times at work. When things get real bad and I'm getting a little frustrated, and I get the impression that I'm living and working in an intellectual desert, I call Joel. And you could, going over to Joel's office, it's not really like an oasis. It's more even like a Garden of Eden. There's a snake-eating goldfish in a bowl on one side. And there's a brown apple core sitting on the sign on his computer saying, "Do not eat, drink, or smoke," next to this machine. But he's always there to be able to pass on some intellectual advice and sort of be a light in some dark areas during the day. I would like to end with one story that would have to do with Joel a few years from now. I've heard people talk about the occult and his mind travels and so on. Well, I can tell you what Joel would really be like in a few years from now. And I'm sure you could picture this in some old age home, especially because of his ego. Walking down the hall, strutting down the hall, stopping the first one that comes along and say, "Hey, Joe, how you doing today?" "Good, Joel, how you doing?" "I'm great. As a matter of fact, I have never felt better. And as a matter of fact, I would like you to guess how old I am." And Joe looks at Joel and goes, 67. Joel goes, "Ha ha, I'm going to be 87 Sunday the 16th. "Neat, okay, wonderful." He goes around, he walks around some more, and he comes upon Tom walking down the hall, does the same scenario with Tom. "How old do you think I am?" Ba-beep, ba-da. And Tom says, 63. "Ha ha, I'm going to be 87 on Sunday, the 16th of April. So pretty soon, about an hour later, he's walking down the hall. Who comes walking up the hall the other direction? Dirty Mary. And Dirty Mary sees Joel and goes, And Joel says he doesn't care. With his ego, he figures that that's okay. And he goes up to Dirty Mary and he says, "Hey, Dirty Mary, how are you today?" He says, "I'm fine." He says, "Tell you what, how do you think I look today?" He says, "You look like you always do, Joel." "Well, I'll tell you what. Can you guess how old I am?" She looks at Joel. She pinches his cheek. He taps him on the back of the head and says, "Turn around." Joel turns around. Joel looks at her again. "Well," he says, "take down your pants." "What?" He says, "Take down your pants." So Joel, the egotist he is, takes down his pants, and she looks at him again and says, "Turn around." So Joel turns around. "Well," just "put your pants back on." So Joel puts his pants back on, and he's standing there. "Well, what about the..." She says, "How old do you think I am?" She looks at Joel and says, 87 on Sunday the 16th. And Joel goes, "How did you do that? That is amazing. How did you do that?" He says, "Tom told me yesterday."
You know that's a lie. I'm Jewish. I never take my...
I'm Jewish. I'd never take my pants down.
We love you. Thank you very much.
We don't have too much longer. I'd like to call Mark Butterfield to the podium. And Marcia, get ready. Marcia's Joel's sister. You remember, you still have that 2-minute rebuttal, a 1-minute rebuttal coming.
30 seconds. Time's up.
Okay, here's Mark Butterfield.
This will be quick. I'll make this quick so Ron can come up. Last night I did a quick poem for Joel. I called it Deal of the Half a Century. Your mom was happy back in '39. She said, "Look, everyone, at this son of mine. His name is Joel, and he's really great. A son like this was sure worth the wait." Your dad was happy back in '39. He was roasting, toasting, and drinking wine. He said, "I'm lucky for a son like this. He's full of vigor, and he's full of bliss." I joined the Guard back in '81. I sure am thankful to have met this son. Sitting here thinking about Joel Dobbin makes me walk down the street with my head a bobbin.
I feel honored, happy, and full of cheer. I don't even have to drink a beer. Joel works so hard day and night. I sure am lucky to have him in my life. A man like Joel is hard to find. He's loving, caring, and very kind. He's done many things in his life. The smartest thing was marrying his wife. His wife is a young lady whose name is Jean. Joel gets her excited when he's wearing green. Joel did many things before we met. I'm sure all of you have seen his pet. It's scaly and slimy with a big long tongue. I still can't remember what song it sung. I was in his shop on a coffee break when I was startled, stunned, and met this snake. Joel used to work at the Bronx Zoo. That's a place for people just like me and you. Turning 50 doesn't mean you're old, because Joel, you've got a heart of gold. Just because you're 50, you don't feel so bad. You're one guy I met, and I sure am glad. If Frank Davis was here today, he'd be proud of you in every way. I wish Frank Davis was here with you. He would make this toast just like I did too. I hope this toast has been real sweet. I think now, Joel, I'll take my seat.
Thank you, Mark. Okay. I'd like to ask Ron Palmer to come up and say a few words. Ron Palmer is also from Connecticut Air National Guard.
He's almost 50.
These men are protecting America's ass, so respect them.
I'll make this real quick, but I'm up here today to talk about Joel's dark days. Those are the days when, this happened to be 32 years ago. Well, I really got to know Joel around 10 years ago when he was guard bumming. He hasn't changed since then, as you're well aware. But 32 years ago, Joel landed at a little place called K-14, which is Kimpo Air Base in Korea. And I feel I can talk about this because we shared the same experiences together. You got to picture an 18-year-old guy landing in a strange country with words like Iriwa Ship Show and Kinchakabobo and all the good little terms that you might hear. I'll let Joel explain these to his wife and to his friends. But one of the big things I think Joel should be aware that when he left Korea, he was not made or he was not given an award that's long overdue. And what happens is that you meet a lot of strange people and do a lot of strange things. And one of the big things is that when you leave, and now we can do this officially because some of these things are residuals that you might catch up to you 25 years later, as you well know. But Joel finally gets his wings. And this is a little set of wings, Joel. And this is for you, which means that he got through the tour without getting shot down. Now, I also still communicate with some people over in Korea, and I asked one of my friends to send him a good luck token because this is a little Korean token. It's a pair of shoes, and little nostalgia. This is good luck so that he can walk his next 50 years and enjoy the good life and the fun and the times that he had in his past years. Good luck, Joel. He's a great man.
You don't. You haven't got any time.
Next, I'd like to call Joel's sister, Marcia, up to say a few words. Marcia was moved from the beginning of the program to the end of the program. She's very shy, but she loves her brother a lot.
I'll make this very fast. What would we all do if Peter Pan ever grew up? We all know he stays young forever. My brother is my Peter Pan. And now he's older than I am. The Joel stories are legendary, as Sandy Sikora and I know. However, enough about Joel. Of all the gifts that Joel ever gave us, the most special gift is my darling sister-in-law, Jeannie. When Jeannie came into the family, a special light came into my parents' eyes. She had a special relationship with my father. He loved her and she loved him. I can't believe that my brother is 50 years old. I love him. I love Jeannie, Jonathan, Josh. Jonathan, I'm so glad you're here today. Jeannie and Joe, Josh and Jonathan, another 50 years together. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up with Josie Kistemacher. Josie's my neighbor, my partner in crime. We're going to set the town of Naugatuck on its ass. And everyone is invited, I hope you all don't accept, to join us at my house and Josie's house after the party. We have directions for those of you who want to come. Here's Josie.
Hi.
Pull it down, Josie. We have to talk into it.
Short, right? Okay. I've been living next to the Dobbins now for 3 years, and I've known Jean for closer. Okay. I've known Jean well for most of this time. I've known Joel pretty well for the last year or so. For 2 years he didn't speak to me because I got Jean on the board of directors of the condo, and he didn't quite forgive me for that. I'm glad that he did get involved with some of our courses, though, because now I really know him well. My son loves him very much. He loves to go over to his house every day and tell him, you know, some of the little stuff that 4-year-olds do that's really important to them. Last year, Joel kept Trevor well supplied with, you know, little swamp creatures, frogs, toads, lots of snakes. All of our snakes died smelly, by the way, after disgusting. We did get 5 large frogs last year that escaped at 2:30 in the morning, and my husband and I were 2:30 hunting for frogs. We only found 4 of them. There's one still hiding in my house somewhere. I have no idea where he is. He's probably been attacked by a huge dust bunny and is hiding underneath a closet somewhere. Okay. I'm sure that all of you know Joel, have known Joel longer than me, and all the happiness and love, and he's a wonderful human being that he's brought into your life. And I want to be doing this again in another 50 years. So take care of yourself, okay? And before I go down, I'd like everybody to give Gina a round of applause because she worked really hard pulling this together.
This is Joel's chance before they kick us out of this place because they're very strict about 6 o'clock. But thank you all so much for coming and for making this day what it is. Thank you.
This is my rebuttal. First of all, to suck. I don't need no mic. See this guy here? He did worse than me. He did a lot worse than me. That guy over there with the camera, he did worse than me. That guy over there, I couldn't have done better. These two I'm not even going to say. My sister is reminding me still. I want to tell you very much I hate everybody here for reminding me how old I am. No, seriously. What can I say? Thank you very, very, very much for being here. And I got to tell you something. In 50 years, that's a long time. I did one thing wrong. I did one thing really right. And every one of you should do as right as I did. I married the best lady in the world. Could you imagine what she did for me? She humiliated me. I know. Nobody deserves it more. This is a one, you know, in the pantheon of great broads. Oh, boy. This is the one. That's the one. Thank you. And I got 2 sons sitting here, and a daughter sitting somewhere who's beautiful. And I got about everything that a man could want. Friends, family, children, a wife. And I love you all. Thank you so very, very, very much. Can I ask everybody to do me one favor, please? If you have a glass in your hand, please lift it. If you don't understand this, too bad. Just drink to it. This is for Billy. Billy's still here.
Right there.
And Billy's with all of us today. And Billy would have 50 with us. And he's still 50 with us. He'll be 100 with us. He'll be 125 with us. God love you, Billy.
Right.